Have you ever had this situation? You bought a new game, one you looked forward to for a long time, you booted it up, played through the intro, and now you're asking yourself the years-old question, why isn't this fun? Between modern games being broken on release or empty and underwhelming compared to what was promised, we've all been there. The trend of modern AAA games has been remarkably consistent over the years. Very often one of the big names come up with a new IP to spend years promoting it and release it at the low price of what the They all talk up their games and all you can do in it, only for you to find out the hard and expensive way that they lied.
That isn't just a backdrop. That moon is actually there orbiting the planet. Yes, you can visit it too.
Can I, Todd? Can I? Modern titles has fallen under the trap of bigger is always better. But for games, that's not always the case. It's true having a large open world that you can explore can be impressive if done right, but having one that's lifeless and filled with a crazy ton of nothingness or repetitive side quests for dead NPCs, that's not the way Bethesda. Bethesda is one of the cases that had the ambition but couldn't deliver on it, and that resulted in a game with less freedom than No Man's Sky, which released all the way back in 2016. Now, No Man's Sky had the issue of emptiness 2 on its release, but the developers were dedicated enough to make it the amazing game that it is today by working on it over the years. They turned the whole situation around to make it something incredible, and even though it started off pretty empty, you could still freely fly from planet to planet and land and go anywhere you want. Take Skyrim for example, one of Bethesda's most successful games, a 2011 game with a limited map. It was so full to the brim with content, it's still loved and played today even without mods added to it. While Starfield is definitely bigger, it's way emptier than Skyrim in terms of things to do in it. But that's just Starfield. What about other games that's not from Bethesda? Well, you see, other games fall into this trap I like to call the Ubisoft effect. As you probably know, Ubisoft is the company that no longer has ambitions, but has plenty of massive IP. Most, if not all of the games play similarly, having you go from waypoint to waypoint to unlock different parts of the map and filling your screen with the most information as possible in its HUD. The Assassin's Creed franchise unfortunately fell prey to the Ubisoft effect. Their own creators. Modern Assassin's Creed games feel like an absolute slog to play through. The game formula has changed since its predecessors, but that doesn't really add much, making it terribly long to get through and really grind heavy. With the RPG elements added to the games and level requirements to do main missions, you are forced to do a large amount of boring and repetitive side quests that feel like a chore to get through. Now, a lot of JRPGs have repetitive gameplay when grinding, but that's outshined by the world and the main stuff, not to mention the choice to grind. You can definitely grind and make things a lot easier by leveling up and being stronger, or you can level up naturally as you progress through the main story. That's how most RPGs and JRPGs feel. And if not that, at least the side quests are fun to do and have a good story of their own. Let's talk about the big picture. The idea that games have to have these big massive open worlds and endless boring and repetitive side quests is one I wish died out with Cyberpunk. I find myself now looking forward to more indie games or games from small developers rather than big titles. And the state some of those games release in has put me off ever wanting to buy a game on release. A good example of everything I described is Forspoken. Not only does the game feel so underwhelming, it also looks worse than games released on the PS4 like Red Dead Redemption 2 or Ghost of Tsushima. Zelda Breath of the Wild is a Nintendo Switch game. How is that better than a Ubisoft game? Scratch that. Zelda Breath of the Wild is a Nintendo Switch game, and it's still leagues more fun to play than any game Ubisoft or any other company has been putting out in recent years. Look, I'm not against a huge open world to explore. I love open world games. But if I'm gonna play one, it needs to keep me entertained from beginning to end. I can manage a few slow moments here and there, but the whole game having repetitive and slow side quests, no. There has to be enough in it to make me want to explore, make me want to see the world and want to do NPC side quests. It makes me want to interact with things. A game like The Witcher 3 or Skyrim does that really well. Ever since its release up till now, it still is a timeless game. And the worst part about it is these big developers won't change anything. and that's been proven on multiple occasions. Remember when Elden Ring was released and it was huge? Everyone was talking about it, and everyone was talking about the open world and how other developers should learn from that and make games with open worlds like that. FromSoft, a company that never ever did open world games like that before, mostly linear games or games that were slightly open world but had narrow passages that led from one place to another. This was their first full-scale open world game, and it was done right and successfully. But instead of learning from it, Ubisoft and Guerrilla Games, as well as a lot of other companies, were upset at Elden Ring's success. They even tried to trash it for having shitty UI and quest design. Meanwhile, Ubisoft game screens are smothered with junk. This alone was clear evidence that these companies don't understand what makes a good game, which is why so many big game releases just feel underwhelming. I don't know what to say other than I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed. The fact that they thought that they were gonna get supports from this tweet is even funnier because no one agreed with them. Plus, I am pretty sure they locked their Twitter accounts after this incident. The point of this video was just for me to rant a little bit about how I'm tired of modern day games all doing the same thing. There's hardly any more innovation in the gaming industry with modern AAA titles. Mostly new games do the same thing the previous ones did. They say they try to improve in a few elements or create a new feeling, but they really don't. Now, I'm not talking about having a sequel that plays the same as the previous game. That's fine, but if you're gonna do it well. Anyway, that was just my little rant on things that I wanted to talk about modern gaming industry. I'm sure some of you agree with me on this topic. I'm sure some of you don't, and that's okay. But if you did enjoy this video, I'm sure you'll enjoy this one I did on Nintendo Switch. So go check that out. Or see some of the other videos I have linked down in my description. I do Let's Plays too. I know some of you like watching Let's Plays. Some of you, join me. That would be appreciated. For now, subscribe. Goodbye.